Welcome to this video and welcome to join me as I test liquid charcoal for the first time. I've heard really good things about liquid charcoal and I was interested to test if this would be a nice new medium for me for sketching. The liquid charcoal I'm using here is by Schmincke and the color is Cherry Pit Black. So this very nice kind of reddish brown charcoal, and yes, let's test this out and see what happens. I have here a small little tray that I'm using as my palette, and I decided today to sketch some birds since, as you know, I love birds and love painting birds, drawing birds, so I thought that was the perfect topic for today. But let's first do a small little quick swatch so that you can see what kind of color we are working with. I'm using here a very simple watercolor brush, so nothing fancy here, very kind of standard watercolor brush. And look at that beautiful color. It has this absolutely gorgeous kind of warm black, brownish black, so that's really, really beautiful color, and I think it's perfect for nature sketching. You can see during this video that I'm sketching out two different birds, or same bird but two different methods and styles, because I wanted to test this and see what kind of techniques would work best for me, to see how I would best use and utilize this medium, since this is new to me and I've never used this before. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm starting with a very simple sketch and drawing, and the first bird that I am sketching here is it's going to be very detailed. I'm spending much more time, using much less water than in the next one, but you can see that they will be very different, and the reason being that I wanted to test out and see what works best for me. I very quickly realized that it's all about controlling the amount of water. It's the same as with watercolor, obviously, but with this one, it was a bit harder for me, let's put it this way. It was a bit harder for me in the beginning to understand how much water I was supposed to put in, and when I had too little waters, so not enough, so that it was not really floating nicely on the paper. When I added more water, it was much easier to paint with this, but obviously also then the color got a bit more light toned, so it was very kind of light gray at this point. Let me know in the comments if you've done these kind of tonal exercises where you are just sketching with one color and trying to get the kind of lights and darks in the right place. I think that's very good for you every now and then to do this, and it helps you to identify where you want to have the blackest black and where the light is hitting. It's a lot of fun, but it's also challenging, at least for me, someone who loves to use color. It's very challenging to just use gray and change the tone a bit simply, and change the shade a bit just by adding water or having more pigment on your brush. As said, this first bird will be very detailed, and it was a struggle. I'm going to be honest here with you. I struggled a bit. It was very difficult for me to kind of get that balance right, that I wasn't going overly detailed, but at the same time that I would have enough detail that it would be like my style of sketching, and it would be what I love to do most. So that was a bit of a challenge and a struggle along the way. But I think I kind of got the hang of it as we went along, and one wonderful thing about this is that you can also remove colors, so that's what you can also see me doing in this video, that you can add water and then just take a clean paper towel or a cloth, and then you can rub the color off, so it acts of course, the same way as charcoal does, that it's very easy to lift color and bring back those white areas if you've overworked it and added too much color. I really liked this color, or the shade of gray that this charcoal had. I think it's beautiful, kind of warm reds. And at first I wasn't sure. I have also another shade. I think that's something a bit more bluish. And I initially thought that would be my absolute favorite, but now that I used and tested this one, I really liked it. I liked this kind of brownish tone, and I think it's going to be perfect for the autumn months, and we can build some beautiful landscapes with this. It's actually something I'm planning to do going forward also, that I want to test how this works for landscapes, so that I would be using just this one color. I've done that kind of exercise before, that I used just Indian ink, one color of Indian ink, and then some water and watercolor paper, and I've painted some wonderful landscapes that way. So that's definitely something I want to see. I want to see how this liquid charcoal would work for that. Of course, this doesn't flow on the paper in the same way, but it's a learning curve, isn't it? Every time you try out new medium, you have to accept that it's going to be a learning curve. And then slowly you find your own best techniques and ways of using it. At this point you can see that I'm getting really detailed with this bird, and I think it was a lot of fun to go into details and try to get it right, but at the same time I realized I was getting a bit frustrated. I wasn't, having that kind of relaxed, loose experience that I wanted, and that's why you will soon see me also painting another bird, because I wanted to see if the other technique would be more my style. But in the end, this is going to be a bit of a kind of sneak peek to the end result, but in the end I actually enjoyed both, so it both have their purpose. So also this kind of more detailed painting, I think, has its place in my art routine. So here I am now starting the second bird on next page of my sketchbook, and I'm using the same liquid charcoal and the same palette, and just a very different technique. So you can see already from the start I'm using lots more water, kind of starting a painting process more than drawing. I'm approaching this very differently, and kind of keeping it loose and also being a bit more fast in my sketching, so I didn't want to just keep the sketching session way too long. This is how I approach watercolor, and this is how I like to paint whenever I'm painting with watercolor. And I think I realized at this point that you can use this liquid charcoal in so many different ways. You can use it more like a drawing tool, or you can use it as watercolor, and that's kind of the difference between the first bird and the second one. And that's also what you can see then the end result, that it's going to be different. And I have to say, this kind of loose watercolor style of painting was much more relaxing to me, but I wouldn't say it was much more enjoyable. I enjoyed both processes, but this was super relaxing. It was so much fun just to add color here and there and watch the bird come alive. And I'm using a wet on wet technique and seeing how charcoal just floats on the paper. So it was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed very much watching this bird to come together. This was also much quicker, faster for me to make. I didn't use so much time on details. Obviously, I think that's an obvious result of this kind of very loose watercolor painting. So how did I enjoy this liquid charcoal, or did I enjoy it overall? I'd say yes, I did. It was very different from what I thought it would be. I don't even know what kind of expectations I had, but it was different. It acted differently, and as said, I've never used liquid charcoal before, so I didn't really know what to expect. But it has this kind of interesting grainy texture, like charcoal does, obviously. And it's been years since I have last used charcoal and done some charcoal drawing. So I think I've kind of forgotten how it acts, but this was I think very good. But I think this was good first impressions and very good kind of first trial of this new to me medium. I can definitely see myself using this more. I want to kind of continue to do these kind of tonal studies, and in that way also train my eye to see the light and dark and shadows and everything in my kind of paintings and drawings. And I think this is very, very good medium for that. It was also this was also, so I think it was very, in that way, it was a good learning curve and good learning experience as well. As said earlier on in this video, I can also definitely see myself painting kind of larger landscape with this. That might be another, or I'm actually quite sure that would be another learning curve for me. But I want to challenge myself, and I want to also challenge myself to test different techniques and ways of working with this medium. I really liked that bit of a kind of dry brush effect you can get. I loved those really dark tones that you're able to get on the paper when using just a little bit of water and lots of pigments. So there are so many, I think, wonderful opportunities with this medium, and I definitely want to see what I can learn along the way. Let me know in the comments if you've tried liquid charcoal and what your experience has been, and if you have any good tips for me how to go forward with this, please let me know. I'd be very happy to hear, and we can all kind of learn from each other and learn together. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. I have lots of fun videos coming your way, new videos every week, usually on Mondays and Thursdays, but sometimes it might only be once a week if there is a really busy week otherwise in my life. But I try at least to get new videos coming your way every week. So I hope that you've enjoyed the video, and I hope that you will also enjoy your own art journey. I will see you in my next video. Bye for now.